Good evening, everybody. A little evening weekend edition of the Dave Talk Sports podcast. I am your host, Dave Ettinger, episode number 22 of the podcast. It is July 20th, 6:50 p.m. As always, you join me on my commute to somewhere. Usually during the week, it's on my way home from CBS Sports Radio Network in the early morning. Saturdays, it's usually on the way to ESPN Plus, where I go help out with some broadcasts. Tonight, we're going to be helping with the broadcast of some MLS games, so that's where I am going tonight. So, it's ridiculously hot at the moment. That's obvious. My car currently says 101 degrees on the dashboard. That's fun. The feels like temperature, because apparently that's how we determine how we feel, is like 110. That's real. That's like how it feels. So like it's not when it's 80 degrees and you go, oh yeah, it feels like it's 120 degrees. No. Like it's actually 100 degrees and feels like 110, 115, 120. It's ridiculous. As usual, I will apologize for the sun glare. Let's just say the sun glare has become part of the podcast. It's another member of the team. It's really annoying. I should really do this at a better time. So you can drop comments in that YouTube section below this video and tell me I'm a moron or something. Like, do this in the privacy of my own home, or do it before you leave the driveway, or, I'm always looking for constructive criticism anyway. So hit me with it. Maybe it'll enter the podcast. But today's podcast, with the heat, be safe. Please. Don't think you can mow the lawn today. Don't think you can do stuff outside. Some people are opting for the beach and the pool, and that might be an okay idea if you go later in the day, like now. Even though the car says 100, it's 6:52. It's probably not 100. But anyway, I digress. Be safe. So, back to the podcast. There is a theme to today's podcast. And the theme is irony. There's a lot of irony floating around in sports and in the world today. And some of it is just interesting. Some of it's ridiculous or moronic. Let's just put an example out there. Not that I need to teach you what irony means, but, the ridiculous irony of a person standing in line with their buddy at a convenience store or wherever they may be, a food store, and they make fun of the person in front of them that steps up and buys a lottery ticket, and they go, hey, man, look at this guy. What an idiot. He thinks he's going to win the lottery? Not going to win the lottery. And then 39 seconds later, they step up and they buy the same lottery ticket. That's ridiculous, moronic even, irony. And that's kind of the direction we're heading today. So, sports is a really interesting thing if you think about it, right? It depends on us. It depends on the customer, the consumer, the person like myself talking about sports, working in sports every day, the person going to the game, going to the stadium, buying the jerseys, buying the tickets, buying the food at the game or the event. It's all us turning on the TV and just giving our money to these sports organizations, these teams, and all these different things. So if it's the NFL, we're fueling this machine that is billionaire owners pay millionaire players, and it all depends on us, right? So you would think that sports or teams or players even, would want to keep us, the consumer, happy. Like we would cater to that customer who's literally the lifeblood, the driving force of our league. It doesn't work that way with the NFL. They don't really care about you. They don't really care about me. They just don't. Right? So the NFL is so big and strong and powerful that they can get away with what we're about to talk about. And the thick irony that is the Tyreek Hill situation. Now, let me preface anything else I'm going to say with what Tyreek Hill has done / allegedly done is disgusting. Right? That goes with anyone else in professional sports or in the world who's gotten in trouble or not gotten in trouble, but has done things to a child who's innocent and defenseless, to their spouse or their partner, or to anybody where there's been abuse or domestic violence or anything like that. It is deplorable. It is disgusting. Those people should be punished. Let's get that out of the way right now. So Tyreek Hill, part of the Kansas City Chiefs organization, he gets in trouble in college for allegedly beating up his then pregnant girlfriend. Same woman who we've heard about in the news over the last couple months and years. That is now his fiance. She's given birth to said child, who's now 3 years old. And if you've been following this situation, you know that over the last couple months, there's been audio that came out, a somewhat secret or unknown to Tyreek Hill, at least that's what they say, recorded audio conversation that was then acquired by a Kansas City TV station that made its way to the world. Because everybody has a price. Somebody got paid for that video to leak, and that's just the way it works. It's how TMZ gets all its videos. It's just how it goes. In today's day and age, you're either being recorded by a phone, video, audio, you know the drill. So that audio comes out, and there's audio of Tyreek Hill threatening his fiance, verbally saying, "You should be scared of me too," and things of this nature. It's ridiculous stuff. He admits to hitting the kid, doesn't admit to breaking his son's arm, because this is ultimately what had happened, is their 3-year-old breaks his arm. Now, I never broke my arm when I was little, but it's really hard for a child of that age to break their arm. Children of that age are very flexible. They're very limber. They can, really, they're flexible. They can bend in ways that, I can't as a 33-year-old. It just doesn't happen. Now, that being said, these kids can still get hurt, of course. So he breaks his arm, and there's no exact, blatant picture of how it happened. So this audio comes out. We all think that this is the nail in the coffin. Tyreek Hill did it. He should be suspended immediately, suspended for life. However you want to look at it. Just doesn't happen. He gets suspended from team activities for a while. And then the NFL decides that they're going to drop this news on a summer Friday, middle of nowhere, nothing else going on, because they want to push back to the top of the headlines and tell the world that Tyreek Hill is not going to be disciplined or suspended by the NFL. And there is the irony. They don't give a crap about you. They don't give a crap about me, of how we feel, because there is absolute outrage, and there should be, about this situation. But he will continue to make millions of dollars playing a sport for a living. The concept of sports is ridiculous to begin with. You have to play a game, a sport, for a living, and then get paid millions. Now they say, we're going to leave the investigation open just in case some other information comes out from the legal proceedings, maybe. Stop. Just stop. I shouldn't even say this, but move the child's broken arm to the side for a second, and let's just take the audio. He's verbally threatening. Physical violence is the threat, that you should be scared of me too, to his then fiance. Threatening domestic violence upon her. That in and of itself should be enough for him to get suspended. And then you add the child who has a broken arm now at 3 years old. I mean, the irony is thick. It's disgusting. It's moronic. It just makes me want to throw up. I'm angry. I want to yell towards this screen, but it's controlled anger, and it's logical anger. It makes no sense, because the NFL should be catering to, and that's not why they should be doing the right thing, just because they got to keep the consumer happy. No, but you'd think they would. They should do the right thing because they're big and powerful, and they have influence, and they can do whatever they want. And they should stand up and do the right thing, and I think they'd actually gain viewers. I think they would actually do some good. Instead of pretending that they care and doing nothing, then actually caring and actually doing something. I've retweeted the details with the statement of the NFL the other day. You can find it on my Twitter page at DaveEttinger2. The NFL's bogus statement of how they're not going to be suspending Tyreek Hill. Go check it out. Give me a follow while you're there. It's not what it's about either. It's just ridiculousness. There's more irony out there in sports. I could talk about this Tyreek Hill situation and domestic violence in the NFL and other sports until the cows come home. But there's other things to get to today. There's a lot of irony out there when it comes to ESPN. Now, I work for ESPN, owned by Disney, so technically I work for Disney, but I'm going to work for ESPN Plus as we speak. I'll be there in an hour. But there is some really thick irony here as well. Over the last week, and now let me preface this as well. I got to preface a lot of my statements here. I don't need anyone to think I lean one way or the other in this. I'm just stating that there's irony as thick as a brick wall, or whatever you want to, whatever your analogy is. The Dan Le Batard show is televised. It's on the radio. It's a nationally syndicated show for ESPN. Dan Le Batard originally, his family from Cuba, resides and does a show for Miami. If you've seen the show or heard the show, you know his father is on there. You know, highly questionable. All these shows that he's doing and have done. He's really popular. He does a good job. And that's not what this is about. You also have Jamel Hill, who used to work for ESPN, who ran into some trouble for what Dan Le Batard did, and that's the irony. Jamel Hill decided to take a stance against racism, politicians. She made the conversation political, what people would call controversial. People didn't like that. There's a blanket rule across ESPN and many other platforms. Don't talk politics, don't talk race, don't talk religion on the air while you're representing our company. Again, I'm not judging or taking a stance either way right now. Just feeding you the irony. So Jamel Hill, no longer employed by ESPN. She dealt with some discipline. You could check out the whole story online. I could probably post a link to what she went through as well. And Dan Le Batard took a stand on his radio show a few days ago. And he's talking about the comments that the current president of the United States has made. And it's in a kind of a debate / argument / I don't know what you want to call it, a fight almost between 4 female Democratic congresswomen. You know, again, we're not trying to get political here at all. Just Dan Le Batard did. He took a really, really hard stance against these comments. And he spent, I can post a link to on Twitter as well. Again, at DaveEttinger2. I'm your host, Dave Ettinger, on the Dave Talk Sports podcast, episode number 22. Again, that's at DaveEttinger2 on Twitter. I'll post a link to the 3 or 4 minute clip that Dan Le Batard had on his radio show, taking a stance against the words of the current president. Again, I'm not leaning either way. You come over to my living room or you sit down at my dining room table, I'll tell you everything that I think. Not here, not today. Sorry. Dan Le Batard is not being disciplined by ESPN. And that is the irony. You can tell me what you think about it in the YouTube comment section below. You could tweet me something and tell me what you think. And then we can have a private conversation about it. There's just irony. Irony everywhere. And now we're going to switch gears very shiftly. It's a big shift. It's over to baseball. Now, one is a suspension, and one is a former, I guess you'd call star, being designated for assignment. Just something I think 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if I had told you in 2019 that this player was getting designated for assignment, you would have told me I was nuts. One Matt Harvey. You know him, the Dark Knight. Yeah, not so much the fat, out of shape, can't pitch Dark Knight. That's who we're dealing with. He got signed for 1 year, approximately $13 million, which also is ridiculous in and of itself, to pitch for the Los Angeles Angels. All right, fine. You're worth what someone's willing to pay you. Whatever. I thought it was ridiculous at the time, and I'm sure the Angels would take it back if they could, but they can't, so they won't. So they'll just designate Matt Harvey for assignment. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get picked up by somebody. I have no clue. No clue. I just think we all saw this coming. Between a stint on the IL, between pitching as poorly as anybody ever has in the history of baseball. It's just the fall from grace was so sharp and so drastic and so fast that it's still interesting. Now, Matt Harvey was really good when he came into the league. I always thought he was slightly overrated, but that's not about this. Or this is not about that. The fall from grace just cost him like $100 million. And just he finds himself out of Major League Baseball right now. I just think it's wild. So again, give me your comments on Matt Harvey. What do you think? What's your take? Let me know. There's a comment section down there for a reason. There's also a little subscribe box right below this video. I should just draw a permanent arrow pointing down. Subscribe, please. This way you can get all of my podcasts, not just episode number 22. And last but not least, we're going to spend a couple minutes on Aaron Boone. I talked about this last time. Aaron Boone. I said if he got suspended, that Major League Baseball should be ashamed of themselves. And they should be. I want a statement from Major League Baseball to tell me that if they didn't pick up the audio for the general public to hear from Aaron Boone going nuts on a rookie umpire because of some atrocious strikeout calls, some ball and strike calls. If that audio is not clearly picked up by the general public for everyone to hear, is Aaron Boone still being suspended? Because I guarantee you rants like that happen all the time. He says, you're having a bleepity-bleeping start to this day. My guys are bleeping savages in that box trying to get hits. I told you it was very polite to me. And he says, I feel bad for you, and that guy's a great pitcher, and he's trying to be, politely yelling at this guy. Maybe because it was a rookie. I don't know. I can't explain why he chose to express himself in that way. But it earned him a 1-game suspension from Major League Baseball. Initially, there's no statement from Major League Baseball if it had anything to do just with the language of the rant, or if, like I said, Aaron Boone very, very slightly made contact. The two hats that they were wearing, Aaron Boone and the umpire, made contact with each other. And you can see in that video that I retweeted the other day that the ump points to his hat and says, "You made contact," as if to say, you're going to get in trouble even further for this. And I said, if that's the case, Major League Baseball should be ashamed of themselves. They can go screw themselves. Yeah, no, I said it and I stand by it. And I find it absolutely unbelievable that Aaron Boone is getting a suspension for this. I want the world to know that, and it's not because I'm a homer. It's not because I'm a Yankee fan. This has nothing to do with my fandom. It's just logic. And again, I want to hear from Major League Baseball. Tell me that this suspension has nothing to do with the fact that this audio was picked up for the public to hear. Tell me it's because he just made contact hat to hat with the ump, and even though you want to hide behind that bogus story, at least I can say, all right, fine. But it's because that audio was picked up for the public to hear. It's a little ironic too, isn't it? You know, it's almost like Ray Rice. Wasn't all that much of a hoopla or an outcry when you didn't have a video. Although, what the hell do you think happened in that elevator? But once you have a video for the public to see, now let's be outraged. Now let's get it. Just stop. Just get over yourself. And that's the theme of today. Not just irony. Get over yourself. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only person with common sense left in the world. I know there's many of us out there. But these things are common sense. Keep your customer, your consumer, keep us happy. Do things that make sense. Tyreek Hill should not be playing football in the NFL and getting paid millions after the things that he's said and the things that he's done. That's all I got for today. I'm almost to work, so I got to go anyway. But I hope you enjoyed this Saturday evening edition, sun glare and all, of the Dave Talk Sports Podcast, episode number 22. Again, subscribe to the video, leave some comments below the video here, get all of my podcasts, and follow me on Twitter at Dave Ettinger2. As it is a Saturday night, it's very, 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 very hot. Be safe, enjoy yourself, stay cool, and be safe. See you, everybody.